Hello. My fellow Americans and Canadians and Mexicans and whoever that one guy is from Taiwan who's following along. I don't know who you are. But welcome to the first State of the Trip address. In this address, I'll just try to update a little bit of where we are in the trip, where we've been, and where we are going. So I will maybe start off with talking a little bit about how the blog is doing, being that that is where you're finding this wonderful piece of video right now. So far on this trip, I have written 49,405 words. This equates to 686 words per day, or 3.6 words per each mile that I've traveled. I hope at least some of them were good ones. I had very little knowledge of what to expect from this blog, so it is difficult for me to evaluate how it is going compared to how I thought it would go. In terms of numbers, I average around 1,000 views per week or so. Again, I can't really say whether that is good or bad. There's no real trend to the numbers, which is a little surprising to me. I would expect gradual, consistent growth, but the number of readers has so far remained relatively flat. There have been a couple days where I've had a tremendous number of views. The first time was when I posted my how-to for I made Sonic on the website Reddit. I don't think I can say it went viral, but it at least caught a nasty cold, having been viewed 270,000 times in just a couple days. The origin of the second big bump is unknown to me. It came from a Facebook link, but I was unable to track down the original origin. After both of these bumps, the number of views have regressed steadily day by day until returning to about average. Very few, if any, readers stuck around. What this tells me is that it is unlikely that my blog will ever reach a very broad appeal. Early on, I thought this might be a possibility, maybe even an eventuality. It appears that it is necessary for there to be some sort of personal connection to my story for a reader to stick around. But please note that I do not say this morosely. Morosely? I think I need to get a new speechwriter. I don't say this like feeling sorry for myself or anything. I would hope my effort in telling this story would be consistent whether I had 1 reader or 1,000 readers. The biggest reason I am so thorough in my documentation of this journey is mostly selfish. I have had to sacrifice quite a bit in order to gain these experiences, so I really fear them fading from my memory. That said, I have considered being a bit more forward in the marketing of this story. Posting on my personal Facebook page is thus far pretty much the only thing I've done to put it out there. I have to always be mindful of my motivations, of course, but I do think that the telling of this adventure has the power to impact others in a positive way. More thought and prayer is needed on this subject before moving forward, but I feel that I'm nearing a decision. So next we'll move on to a little bit of a progress report. I'll talk a lot about the numbers that say how we're doing so far. The first leg of this trip lasted 72 days. I've estimated a total of 270 days it will take to complete this trip, around 9 months, 270 days. Meaning I sit at about 27% completion right now in terms of time. My list currently sits of 21 of 92 places have been checked off, and that means we are 23% done with the places. Western North America is a bit sparse in terms of song places, so this is pretty good progress. In terms of mileage, I have logged 13,634 miles so far. I did not take the route that I was initially planning for, so I actually just did a new estimation for the total number of miles. My new best guess for miles to complete this trip is 52,000. That includes riding all the way down through Central America, looping all the way through South America, and riding all the way back. If I ended up going to the tip of South America, it'd be longer. If I end up somehow flying myself and Annie back, it would be shorter, of course. So of that, 13,634 of 52,000 miles means that we are 26% completed in terms of mileage. So pretty safe to say that we're around the quarter mark, as a lot of the numbers sit in the mid 20% as far as completion goes. So how am I doing? This is a question that I get quite a bit. So you know how you feel when you slip and fall and then you end up on the ground and you just lie there for a few seconds kind of taking stock of everything. You know, first of all, okay, I'm not dead. Now, let's see. Can I feel my toes? Okay, those move. That's good. Okay, I'm going to try to get up now. I think I'm okay. That's kind of how I felt this last week, just sort of taking stock. I know something has happened to me and I'm trying to evaluate just how much impact it's had on me. And so I've tried to assess my well-being here as honestly as possible. I think I'm doing pretty well. I don't have any major physical issues going on right now. Weight-wise, I left at 177 pounds and had a low point at 171 pounds. And right now I'm already back up to 175. This trip so far has been a strange mix of literal feast and literal famine food-wise, and they seem to have more or less canceled each other out. Other physical things, I had a real sore back on Mbabaka Day when I was on those log roads, but that just seemed to be a thing for just that day and the next day. Mentally, also, I think I'm doing okay. I'm a little tired, but I'll hopefully get some good rest this week. I've definitely had some moments during this trip where I was not really enjoying myself, but I think I knew that those were going to happen coming into it, so I was prepared for that. I'm just trying to be thankful for the good moments as well as the bad. So, how is Annie doing? Annie remains her blissful, ambivalent self. She just doesn't care. She just does her own thing. I have quite a few maintenance things to do while I'm home, and please note that maintenance is different from fixing. It's just regular items that wear out with time and have to be replaced periodically. On my list for the next few days are a brake pad replacement, changing brake fluid, flushing coolant, a valve adjustment. I'll also do some components for my luggage system that need to be replaced. If I have time, I might also do a front wheel bearing replacement. For sure, I'll at least get in there and inspect them, make sure everything's rolling along just fine there. Now, some numbers on Annie thus far. She is averaging right at 58 miles per gallon for the trip so far, 58.01 actually. That number has been actually trending up lately too, but I'm already satisfied with where it is. It's really impressive to me considering the amount of luggage I have on there to be getting that 58 number. I'm very pleased with that. Another way to think of this number is in terms of miles per dollar. So for every dollar I spend on gas, how far do I go? I'm currently getting about 21 miles per dollar right now. So every time I spend $1 of gas, it gets me 21 miles. This might help it to explain a little bit why I have such a hard time spending $30 on a campsite. Do that calculation in your head real quick. That could easily buy you 600 miles worth of gas. That's why it's hard for me to spend that much. I don't know if it's quite justified, but that's what I'm going with at least. Moving on to how the budget is doing. How am I doing on spending money? My spreadsheet shows that I have spent $1,767 on the trip so far. I missed logging 2 tanks of gas somewhere and possibly some other small items, so my best guess for total amount spent would be $1,820. I recently had 2 of my greatest expenses of the trip, $145 for a new jacket and $70 for new brake pads. Even with this, my average amount spent per day sits at just $25.28 spent per day. I'm wanting to keep my total budget for the trip under $15,000, which averages out to $56 per day. Again, my current number is $25 per day, so I'm well below what I need to average right now. Now, this is not a sign that I can spend money more lavishly, because most of my budget will be spent in Central and South America. It will probably cost more than $1,000 just to get Annie from Panama into Colombia. Also, I will pay for lodging most nights, especially in Central America, in order to maximize my safety. The US and Canada must be completed as cheaply as possible to preserve an ample budget to do the rest of the countries safely. So let's kind of run by category real quick of the expenses. So fuel, I've spent $650 so far. For the category bike/riding, this would be all the mechanical items, supplies, tires, as well as riding apparel, jackets, boot covers, things like that. The whole bike riding category comes to $635, so just a little bit below what I spent on gas. Total food bill for the 72 days is $201, averaging out to $2.80 per day. Total lodging costs, $83. I've only spent on lodging 5 times. That averages out to $1.15 per day spent on lodging. Leisure expenses, $46. Personal care, $25. Miscellaneous travel, $15. Other expenses, $131. So yes, I am cheap, but a lot of these numbers are due to the hospitality of others. It's really hard to look at these numbers and figure out how much is due to me being cheap and how much is due to hospitality, but there's a good amount of both of that going on here. So like eating on $2.80 is possible, but probably not long-term sustainable. A lot of that number has to do with the way that all of you generous people have filled my belly so far on the way. How is Sonic doing next? Sonic will get reprinted and resealed while I'm home. I'm going to try a new method using this stuff called Mod Podge, which my sister's friend Shayna recommended it to me while we were in Vancouver. But he's doing pretty well. The rollerblade wheel bearings, see if I can give him a good spin, are still showing really no sign of any kind of drag. He's still rolling along pretty good. So, we're off. This has been a pretty successful start to my journey, all things considered. I'd like to close by saying thank you to all of you that are with me on this journey. Without your prayers and support, I don't think I would have even made it out of the end of my driveway. I would also ask that you would share any feedback that you might have. I'd love to know what your assessment of the state of my trip is. I would welcome any comments below, and if your feedback is of more the critical sort that you don't want to share with everybody, please use the contact form at the top of the blog page. I'd love to hear those comments too. So, good night, may God bless you, and may God bless Mbabaka. Thank you.